Good evening. This is Chris, the Wonder Woman, coming at you from my favorite spot. Spending the night here. It's a kind of cold and rainy day, and we're gonna walk down the switchback and cook up some supper and take a look at the food that we packed on our recent trek through the Narrow Hills 2 weeks ago, and go over what I liked and what I would do different. Okay, here we're going down the switchback. Just a short little trek from the cabin. This trip that I'm on right now, it's not so much about adventuring. This is a place where I can be out in nature, but not really challenging myself. This is my comfort zone. I am here for relaxation. I've had a tough few weeks and I just want to unwind. And as evidence, there's my wine in my redneck glass. So this is what we're doing tonight. I could not be happier that it is raining. This is my favorite weather. I'm sure my tune on that might change if I was trekking in it 5 days in a row, or if it was a really heavy downpour and I was out in the middle of nowhere. But this is the perfect spot and the perfect weather. I could not be happier. There's the gazebo right along the river here. This is where we're gonna have supper. This tree here, it's very noteworthy, historical significance. My children have had their pictures taken at this tree over the years for, I think, since 2011, so the last 7 years, and it's been amazing to see how they've grown. There's the river. And yeah, we're gonna go in here. Okay, here we are, all set up. I have a fire going because it's kind of chilly. So a little bit of warmth, a little bit of ambiance. It's nice. And right here is what we packed for a day's worth of food when we did our Narrow Hills trek. So I'll kind of go over things here. So for breakfast, we would have coffee. Coffee is life. It's instant coffee. There's lots of different kinds of instant coffee packets that you can get. I used to go with the Starbucks Via. I found it too expensive. These I get a box of 20 for about $4.98, I think. Don't quote me on that. Where the Starbucks, I was getting 10 for $10, so I switched it up. And then this here is a homemade blend, oatmeal blend that I make. We kind of call it, it's Chris's Super Oatmeal. It runs at about 900 to 1,000 calories. It's full of oats, barley, flax, chia, hemp, craisins, cashews, coconut, honey, whole bunch of goodness there. Really good fuel for first thing in the day. So between that and the coffee, were pretty good. I usually don't even stop for a morning snack, though I pack it anyways. And that's morning snack, typically some trail mix with Smarties. I am guilty of stopping and having the trail mix basically to eat mostly the Smarties. And then other snacks, we have Snickers. We always save those for later in the afternoon when you're getting tired, you need a pick-me-up. Snickers does the job. And then I pack a bonus snack, a Cliff Bar, just for, you never know if you're going to be extra hungry that day or not. Lunch, we do, Baby Bells and dried salami. I get these for they're 2 for $5, and they're very dense. I think if I did the math right, and I don't do math, I'm a social scientist. I think they run at about 500 calories per salami. So we do those with some Triscuits and some dried mango. I love the dried mango. And then, yeah, we always bring some tea. And I've started bringing the Mio Sport for the electrolytes, and sometimes when you're filtering water, it's kind of questionable sources, and your water might look kind of, well, we filtered water that looked beer colored. So we'd squirt in some Mio and it would give it color, and then we could tell ourselves that the color was coming from the Mio. I don't know if it's necessary or not. It just helps to switch things up a bit. And then supper here, we have the Alpine Air veggie burrito bowl. I have a whole bunch of these in I keep a hiker food box packed and sorted and ready to go at home. So I have all of these in their appropriate bags and everything. The sausage and cheese I store in the deep freeze nearby. And so yeah, we have the dehydrated meal and hot chocolate. And then this here is my cook system, which I'll get the food cleaned up and I will show you how it works and cook up this thing here. All right. Okay, so here is my Jetboil Flash, and it is a fuel stove system, fairly self-contained. I need to get a mount or some sort of really lightweight, easy to carry tripod. Anyway, so yeah, you open this up and inside is everything you need. You do have to buy your own fuel canisters. This comes off the bottom and it can be used for measuring too. Pretty slick. So this screws on really simply here. And then right here you flip that out, and then we screw that onto the fuel canister. I'm doing this all one-handed too, folks. Fun times. All right, so I have some water in there, and we are going to start this up. You can hear the gas going there, and the starter button. There we go. Been having some issues with the starter lately. Not sure what that's about. So this part here turns orange once the water is hot enough. And it doesn't take very long. It's a little bit colder of a day, so it might take a bit longer than normal. We'll see. And right here, I've opened up the food bag or the packaging. And just so you can take a look here, this is how it looks inside. And what you do is you add It's almost always 2 cups of water. Yeah, you add 2 cups of boiling water to the package, and then you zip it closed. Well, you remove the dry pouch in there first, give it a stir, zip it closed, and let it sit for, 10 minutes. And in 10 minutes, supper is done. That's it. You can see the heat indicator there. It's beginning to turn orange, which means our water will be ready. You can see the steam coming off. I'm not certain, but this is the fuel canister we brought with us on the Narrow Hills trek, and I think I might have just ran out of fuel. So despite what I just said about 15 seconds ago, we're gonna call this water done and pour it into the bag. I have my Sea to Summit foldable cup here. I love this thing. Just like that. And I will measure out some water with that. That is 2 cups. And we'll pour into here. And give it a stir. And I forgot to take the pouch out, so while I'm stirring it up, I'm going to look for that pouch. There's the pouch. That was my bad, trying to show people how to do things, and really am showing them what not to do. I think that's typically the case with hiking. Okay, it is 5:51. I've just sealed the bag, so at about 6:01 it will be supper time. So while we wait for the food to cook, I will discuss a few of the things I won't say would not do again, but am not likely to do again in terms of packing for food. We learned on this trek that we definitely packed too much food. I had based my food on a previous hike that we had done in September. We did the Grey Owl hike in Waskesiu National Park. That's 40 kilometers. And I felt that I had packed a lot of food then. I went with my husband and our youngest son and noticed that we did not have any leftover food on that trek. So I had taken that into account. I went back into our Fitbits and took a look at how many calories we burned on those days, and took into account that we were doing 63 kilometers for the Narrow Hills trip, and that was going to be 3 days versus 2 days, and various other factors because it was just a completely different type of trip. The Grey Owl trek was an official hiking trail with other hikers and along a lake where there was always consistent water source. And in a national park, you register to sign in, just lots of different things that are there to assist you in the wilderness, where when we did our Narrow Hills trail, well, it's not a hiking trail. We didn't know where our water sources were going to be. A lot of the trail, or not a lot of the trail, but we did come across parts of the trail that were definitely not groomed and presented a challenge. And people really didn't, well, our loved ones knew where we were, but it wasn't a it would have been very difficult to rescue us had we needed it. We did have a spot locator with us, and we did check in that way with people 2 to 3 times a day. And yeah, anyways, that's a little off track and might not make it into this video. I don't know. So yeah, I had taken into account that we had enough food on the Grey Owl Trail, but it felt like we were just ravenous, especially my husband and my son. So I took that into account when planning for this one and tried to ensure that we would have 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day on the Narrow Hills Trail, which I did. I crunched numbers, I recrunched numbers. It was ridiculous. And I had it all worked out. I had an extra day's worth of meals for both of us. And we found that we barely ate anything on this trek. It was so hot. It was just so hot. We just did not want to eat. And so we had a lot of leftover food. And I will cut to a picture of that. Some of the things that I would probably not pack again: the crackers, the Triscuits. They're salty, and if you're already struggling for water sources, it's not a thing that you want. The sausages were really good. I'm not going to say I wouldn't pack them again, but I'm rethinking how I do lunch in general on the trail, and so I've recently purchased a food dehydrator. I have dehydrated some ground beef, and I've dehydrated some hummus, and I'm thinking that my lunches might look more like pita and hummus. I might not bring the hot chocolate. The thought of hot chocolate was actually kind of sickening to me on the trail, so we didn't touch it. Tea, though, tea was nice. Some peppermint tea. It's refreshing, it's light. Yeah, and I'm looking at the sidekicks for meals instead of the dehydrated meals, just because the sidekicks, like the quinoa sidekicks, things like that, they're like $2 and approximately the same caloric value. So where these hiker dehydrated meals are $10 a package. So that's something that I'm looking at. About the only thing is I'd have to work out, because I really like the convenience of being able to just cook in the package and not have to do dishes. I really, really, really like that. With the quinoa packages, I don't think you could do that, but maybe with a different kind of heavy-duty Ziploc bag or something. I'll have to do some research, or if anyone watching this knows a solution to that, post it in the comments. Another thing that I would probably change up is my extra day worth of food rations. I wouldn't do a full day. I think it's important to have the extra rations because you always have to be prepared for what if. But I think I would rethink how I do that and just have my oatmeal, coffee, and just a few Cliff Bars or something like that instead of, you know, a full day like I showed you. Our food, each of us, it weighed 7 pounds. So I really want to cut down the food weight. Especially I am going to be doing the West Coast Trail at the end of August. That's a challenging trail, and I wanna cut my food weight by then, and other weight, but yeah. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. We're gonna have supper. Let's take a look at this. There we have it. A veggie burrito bowl. It smells really good. So that is my take on hiking food. Now, even when hiking, I normally can't eat a full one of these. Other people do. So this is 600 calories for the entire package. I'll probably eat half and then maybe I'll eat more later this evening. But yeah, that's it, folks. I hope to see you on the trails.